Thanks for watching The Personal History of Games. I'm your host, Eric Canius, and this week we have the one and only Aerial Knight, Neil Jones, joining us. He took time away from developing his upcoming game, Aerial Knights Never Yield, to talk about Last Action Hero, beat-em-ups, and avoiding siblings while playing Pokémon Gold for the GameBoy Color. Here's that conversation. And then I'll start with the hardest hitting question of all. What's your starter Pokemon for Pokemon Gold?
I think it was it evolves into Feraligatr. That one.
This one?
The water one. Yeah. Totodile. That's it. Yeah. Man, he was my favorite. I didn't like his fully evolved form. He looked kind of creepy. But after you make the choice, it's hard to go back.
Yes.
Because even when I restarted the game, I was like, do I want to pick a different one? And I was like, I need my baby.
Is there anything in particular that drew you to the water Pokemon?
He just looked really cool. The other ones just looked, kind of like standard Pokemon. That one just stood out to me just a little bit more. I kind of always gravitate to the water ones because fire just seems like real intense. And then, grass is everybody's least favorite, but
yes,
it makes me want to pick it. I remember, I knew nothing about this generation when I got it. It was like the only, my grandma bought me a Game Boy Color because I was sad, like a sad little, I think I was 7 or 8, and I was just quiet and sad, and I didn't talk to nobody. And she was like, "Hey, I got you something under your seat," when we were driving home, and I was just like, "Yeah, whatever," and I pulled it out. I almost started crying. It was the most amazing thing anybody ever bought me.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was the only game I had, and it was the first thing that was actually mine. Everything else I had to share with my brothers or belonged to somebody else beforehand, and it was a hand-me-down. But I was this is all mine, and she made me share it every once in a while. Hey, let your brothers play this, and I was like, they can't play Pokemon. It's can't let somebody play a Pokemon game. I think this is also the first game I ever replayed where I just I'm starting over.
What color Game Boy was it?
It was the clear purple one.
Ooh, that's the classic. I was hoping it was that one.
That's the one you had?
No, I didn't have a Game Boy Color.
You didn't have a Game Boy Color?
No, I didn't have the color. First Pokemon I played was Pokemon Yellow, and I believe that was still I had the yellow Game Boy, but it was not a Game Boy Color as far as I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. It might have been. It might have been during that transition.
Yeah, because I could play Pokemon Color games, you just wouldn't see them in color.
Mm-hmm. I know my purple one, it came with this giant magnifying glass that you stuck on top of it. And then I would act like I was asleep. And then as soon as everybody went to bed, I would go sit next to the plug because I didn't want to use up all my battery power.
Yes.
So I would plug it in, sit next to the heat and get under the cover and just play until my eyes started to hurt.
Did you use the magnet? Or the magnifying glass?
Yeah, I used the magnifying glass because, it was dark in the room.
Right.
And you can't turn the lights on or people know you're, up doing stuff.
Right. Did it also have the light on it?
Yeah, it had the little tiny light.
Perfect.
It was I don't know, it was the most ghetto way to play a video game.
I don't know, that sounds pretty official. You're not holding a flashlight in your teeth or anything. You got the official light.
Yeah.
That's the way to be. That's wonderful. Are your brothers older than you then?
No, I had little brothers. So, they always want what you got.
Yes. I'm the youngest of 4 or 5 boys, so that's why I ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad situation, older or younger. If you're older, then, you got everybody behind you waiting to get your stuff. If you're younger, you don't get anything new. You just get everything handed down to you.
It's true. You get it bad on both ends.
Yeah.
So did getting the Game Boy help at all with talking to friends, talking to people? Did you bring it up at school at all, or was it just for you?
Oh no, it did the complete opposite. I did not talk to nobody. It made what she was trying to solve worse. I was I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to go outside. I just want to sit here and mind my own business. Stay out of trouble. Like she would ask me all the time. She was like, "Don't you want to go, play with this person or that person, or go to the mall or something like that?" Like, no, I want to stay out of trouble and mind my business. And she couldn't argue with it. She was like, "All right, whatever." As long as I was quiet, that was all that mattered.
Yeah, that's fair. And did the trick.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw it as a win-win for everybody.
Yes.
I didn't even ask for any other games. I think I had a Game Boy, and I had that Donkey Kong Country, and I had this.
Yeah.
I didn't like Donkey Kong Country. So whenever I had to let my brothers play, I was like, "You can play that."
That's great. That's good use of that game.
Yeah, I never got another game for Game Boy. It was just only
Really?
Yeah, it was only this. Most of my like consoles, like when I was younger, I just had one game because we couldn't afford to just get new games all the time.
Yeah. What other?
So it was mostly Pokemon. I had a Sega Genesis.
Okay. What was the game for the Sega Genesis?
It was Sonic and Power Rangers. And Lion King.
Power Rangers.
Yeah, the Power Rangers, the movie, the game. I love that game so much.
What kind of game was that? Because I know Lion King and I know Sonic, of course, but I don't think I've seen the Power Rangers game.
It's pretty much a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Okay.
Just like most of those games were, just reskins.
Yes.
And then later on, like after I got a Game Boy and stuff, we went to Funko Land and spent $1 and got like all the games we missed out on. I think the main game we all played was The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, they had a game of that?
Yep, on the Sega Genesis.
Oh my
And
God.
like, I don't know why I like that movie. Like, if you go back, the movie's terrible.
What? That movie's great. I was going to say the exact opposite.
Man, that movie's bad.
What?
I thought it was good myself. Like remembering it, then I went back and watched it, and I was like, man, this is bad.
What part of it is bad? Every part's great. I think I saw it once in like 2 separate halves on TV, but I really enjoyed the self-awareness of it. It felt very like modern for a 90s movie, but maybe I only saw it the once. So
See, you call it self-awareness. I call it, how something is so dumb that it makes it seem like it's making fun of itself. You watch it and say they had to do that on purpose, but I don't think they did. I think they was actually like, hey, let's make a serious action movie.
But they did the whole thing where like, it was they put Sylvester Stallone cut out and he played the Terminator because Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't exist in that world. It was great.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did do that.
There was some fun stuff, but then it got like extremely dark near the end where people were being murdered and the guy that came out of the movie was very bad.
Yeah.
Like the bad guy. Well, now I gotta go watch Last Action Hero and play that game. I didn't know there was a game of it, man.
Yeah, it's just like Power Rangers. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Would you play those ones with your brothers?
Nah, I try to avoid them as much as possible.
Fair. I mean, being the older brother is an experience unfamiliar to me. I was always the younger brother trying to play with my older brother, so it happens.
It's like, imagine how annoyed you were just trying to spend time with somebody and just reverse it. How annoying it is to never have any time to yourself or anything to yourself. I think that's why there's never any like comprehension of what each other is going through in those kind of situations, because they're the same situation, just flipped.
Yeah. That's funny. I guess I never thought about it that way. I've always, just from my perspective of my brother's never hanging out with me. Like, I understand in concept or in theory, but
well, like it's also because you don't remember how much they had to hang out with you when you were like an infant. Like when like the older brother, has a younger brother, they're pretty much responsible for that little creature.
Yes.
I remember like, cause I had two and they were twins and, or are twins. I don't know why I said were like past tense. And they are twins and, they will always just, exist. And people will ask me, hey, what's wrong with them? Like they have to go to the bathroom. You have to change them. Or they were it would be like Rugrats. I feel like Angelica,
right? Where
you just always around the babies and you have to be a translator. So as soon as you're able to get away from it, you're just gone.
Are you saying Angelica wasn't the bad guy? She was just misunderstood?
I don't think she was a bad guy. Looking back on it,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
you know how people do the YouTube deep dives talking
Yes.
about, oh, this person wasn't actually a bad guy. I feel like there would be a case for Angelica.
There's all sort of hot takes coming out of this. I did not expect.
I mean, I remember watching one episode like recently with my niece or something like that, and I was like, Angelica's right. She was, I don't remember what episode it was, but I just remember just like really agreeing with Angelica. Like, you can go back and watch a couple of those old like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network shows,
Yeah.
and the person who was supposed to be the bad guy is actually like the person making the most sense.
I think that's just another thing changing with the perspective of time.
Yeah, but specifically, I feel like after I watched, Black Panther and Killmonger, I was like, he's the bad guy, but he's right. He's really
Yeah.
right.
It's true. That's how you make the best bad guys, though. It's they have one, they're passionate about what they're like. They're not the bad guy to themselves, but also like he had good ideas. It's just his methodology wasn't the best. That's what made him the bad guy in that situation. But yes, totally. That's what made him such like a conflicting bad guy as well for viewers. It's because he's making some good points.
Yep. I remember it being in the theater. It was like, I mean, actually, he was like, why didn't anybody come back for us, after that whole, thing happened with America? And ain't nobody say nothing. And I was like,
Yep.
I don't agree with what he's trying to do next, but he has a point.
Exactly. So, not much playing games with your brothers. Ooh, I got a new skill.
I mean, I think the closest we ever came to like really playing games together was Smash Brothers, and because we kind of had no choice. But Animal Crossing a lot too. It was really weird playing Animal Crossing because we were able to figure out we were old enough to understand save systems and having different saves.
Yeah.
And visiting each other's like kind of town, but at the same time we had to take a lot of turns playing, so it kind of made it worse.
Yes, that game is one that's hard to share. It's nice that they have the multiple saves, but there's also such a time sink that having to share with people. I shared it with a friend, or I played it at a friend's house, and yeah, just it's tough to balance that.
Yeah.
So moving forward, after the Genesis, you guys had the N64 in the household then?
Yeah, we had the N64, but we got that after the GameCube, actually. It was like Genesis, Game Boy, GameCube, Nintendo 64, where we only played, we only had one game. We had Pokemon Stadium.
Okay, yes, that's a good one.
And then I bought a Wii. I was old enough to save up my money to buy a Wii. And then I traded in my Wii after, pretty much the life cycle ran its course for 360. And then all the consoles after that.
That's fair. Cool. Yeah, it's interesting because basically my household was a PlayStation household. Well, we had a PlayStation 1, and then me and my brother had a PlayStation 2, and then we didn't have any new consoles until I got a job and was able to afford one. And then it was a way too expensive PlayStation 3. But
yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember sitting down and watching G4. And as soon as they said the price, I just turned the TV off. I was like, "That's rich people stuff. I can't afford that." Like, I started sweating. I don't know why I was sweating, waiting for the price to get announced. I just thought, maybe in some world it would be cheap enough for me to have one.
Yeah, I think I had such a bad concept of money, and that was right around the time when I got my first job. I was like, I can do that. That makes sense. This is something I can afford. Not actually, but I still have that PS3, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's backwards compatible, right?
Yes, exactly.
Hey, you got to keep that.
Yeah, it's worth something to someone. Also, it's 800 pounds. But anyways, so you'd mentioned in the survey that I sent out, specifically how games make you feel when you finish them. Would you mind discussing that more?
Oh yeah, I don't really remember why I wrote that. But yeah, it's just like recently, I know playing a lot of games. I don't really like the 100+ hour games. I play them, but they're not my favorite, just because by the time you get to the end of them, you're just kind of just trying to be done.
Yes.
Like a lot of people who finish a 100-hour game, they're just still playing just because they're so close to the end that they have to finish now.
Yep.
I respect the people who can just be like, no, I'm done, like 30 hours in or something like that. But I'm not one of those people.
Was there a game recently that brought that to mind?
I remember Red Dead. I remember
I was thinking the same one.
getting to the end, being exhausted, and saying that it should not have been this long. And nothing against the people who worked on Red Dead. It's a really dope game. But Red Dead and Last of Us. Last of Us, like, I just wasn't expecting it to be that long. I understand telling a story, but at the same time, you got to respect people's time, because at that point, I'm like, I don't even care about the story. I just want to get these last achievements, so I can either make the decision if I want to play it again or not.
Yes, exactly. I haven't played Last of Us 2, but yeah, with Red Dead was the one that popped into my mind when I saw you mention that, because I very much enjoy the story. I enjoy slow stories too, so I was giving it all the benefit of the doubt for Arthur's story. But then when the prologue comes along and you're playing as whatever his face is,
Yeah.
and that takes another like 4 or 5 hours, that was way too much.
I did not like that. I was like, at the end of Arthur's story, I was like, oh, okay, here comes the credits. And they were like, nope. I was like, oh my God, no.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like what Cyberpunk did. Like, Cyberpunk is, like, I think it's a really good length. People have been not giving it the best of mentions for the length of it, but everything's packed into this side quest. So I feel like that's a really good way to do it, where you can make a really long game, not focus on just one specific story, but you could pack in all the side stories as a choice.
Right.
Give me a reason to keep playing after I've finished.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, I was playing that, and I'm a person who mainlines the main story and then is done with games. But my friend is doing the side quests, and he had mentioned just doing the mission that I did, playing 3 hours in, and he's 40 hours in. And I'm like, what are you doing in there? He's like, I'm doing all the side stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. Because they really do dump it on you right at the start, and you could kind of do whatever until doing the main mission.
Yeah.
I guess a preferable way to go about it to give you the choice to, do you want this to be an 80-hour game, or do you want this to be a 25, 30-hour game?
Yeah, it's really a game design choice that needs to be like kind of like universally decided, because I feel like the issue is people want to have access to everything immediately, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, there's so many systems that you have to learn that if you give everybody access to everything in the first hour, then kind of no one knows how to play the game, and it feels very overwhelming. So you have to ease people into it. But I remember, like, for example, Persona 5, I think my girlfriend was 10 hours in, and I said, okay, you just finished the tutorial. And she was like, what? So I feel like Persona is like the perfect contrast to something like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that was the other game I was going to bring up, because I just beat it. I finally got around to playing Persona 5, and for respecting the player's time, the amount of times they repeat things to make sure you get it, it drove me crazy.
Yeah, but the way they balanced it that made it more fair was the fact that they did not expect you just to sit and play that 1 week straight through. Like, there's people just now finishing that game. The way they made up for the length was the ability to just pick it up like months later and kind of still know what's going on.
That's true.
The problem with The Witcher and Red Dead is if you ever put that game down, you can't pick it up a week later. You have no idea how to play that game.
Yeah.
Like, the systems in Persona are, they're complicated, but they're minimal of, capability of picking it up and just kind of understanding.
Yeah.
Much like Pokemon. That's why people love it so much. You don't need to remember. You just have to, go through what Pokemon you got on you at the time and, go walking around.
Yeah, like, I only played Pokemon Yellow, and I'm able to run around in circles just as well as anyone.
Yep. If you opened up a Pokemon save from 10 years ago, you would have no idea what happened, 10 minutes ago in the game, but you can move forward knowing all the mechanics.
No, exactly. All right, so with this through line, so the personal history of games, it's a through line of we start at like the most significant game that you bring up, which is Pokemon Gold, and we move forward through the timeline to where we are today. So from Pokemon Gold,
there's no way to tie all this together. I am the king of being off of topic, going so far off topic that no one knows where to go next.
I mean, we already talked about Last Action Hero. I can't imagine it would go any more off topic than that. That is A-okay. That's just kind of our general road we're on. If we meander, that's fine. If we don't make it to the end, also fine. Hey folks, if you're listening to this podcast, then you must love video games. And if you love video games, you got to listen to another video game podcast called Game Johns. Join Riley and her crew as they delve into everything games, from upcoming titles and nostalgic classics to game development and intriguing interviews. Learn and laugh alongside this ragtag team of indie devs. Whether you want to philosophize about the definition of a game, discuss the hype behind virtual reality, or discover games you've never heard of, Game Johns is the crew for you. For more things Game Johns, check out allmylinks.com/GameJohns and check out their Twitter @GameJohns for all news and announcements. That's Game Johns, Game Jawns. Check them out. So, did you ever evolve out of this playing by yourself quietly in the corner all the time? Did it ever grow from there, or was it just gaming was a thing for you and you alone?
I mean, yeah, I like playing with other people. You know, when I got the 360, you kind of had to. They pushed online really hard, so Gears of War and all of that good stuff. But I think in the most recent generations, it was like Destiny. Like I was really into Destiny. I played with my friends and people from school and stuff like that. But like I feel like I'm going back to the I just want to play alone type of thing. There's a lot of reasons. A lot of people ran into a lot of issues back in the day, especially with the 360, with online communities just being really aggressive,
yes,
or whatever you want to call it, and
Yep.
not wanting to deal with that anymore. And I feel like we still haven't fixed that.
No.
It's more public. You can look at Twitch and see people getting banned all the time for things they said or did. But I still feel like we haven't really did anything to fix it other than kind of shame people.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you? Have you been through the whole gambit of playing by yourself, playing online, hating it, and then going back to playing by yourself?
I think I just skipped that middle step where I played a lot by myself being a youngest child. Solo playing a lot of games. And even when I played online games, never using the headset, never talking to people or like trying to talk. Yeah, I'm not like someone that writes on forums. I'm not someone looking for connection to people outside. So I will join games and play by myself. And even if it's a team game, I'll just jump in with no headset and not listen to anyone and try and figure it out from there. And then go back to solo games. Yeah, that's really was never a thing for me. My solo gaming stayed that way for a lot of the time, and only recently finding a very solid group of people that I don't have to worry about makes the stress go away. So I can just play with them if I want to play multiplayer, and then not if I don't.
Yeah, I think like after playing Destiny, because the most like interesting games around the time Destiny came out was like playing with other people. There was a lot of interesting mechanics with the Division. It was Destiny.
Yeah.
I forgot. There was another game that was trying something new that I really liked at the time. And like I found out that the worst feeling in the world is like wanting to like do a challenge or play a raid or play a certain story mission that you can't solo.
Yeah.
And that you need a friend to play with, and they agree to do it with you. And then you go to work or something like that, and you come back and all your friends did it without you and no one wants to do it. I'm like, and it's the worst feeling. It's like, okay, now I can't do this, and I don't want to do it with anybody who, isn't my friend. So let me go on these forums and beg for somebody to play with me.
No, I remember like specifically buying games to play with friends and then being busy with work or school or something. And then they played a bunch and got like 8 levels higher than me. Like Borderlands was the first example of that. Of like them getting 8 levels higher than me. I'm just like,
that was the one I was thinking of, is Borderlands.
Hey.
That game is terrible as a solo game.
Yeah, it is.
Like I remember trying it and my friends couldn't play, and I was like, oh well, I'll just do the first couple of missions or something by myself. Man, that game's bad. But then like I was getting ready to I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna take this game and just take it back to the store, trade it in for whatever I can get for it. And then one of my friends said, hey, I'll play with you, and we played straight through. I think we played that entire game for like 20 hours straight.
Yeah. I mean, that's such an interesting way to think about it, of like, it's the same game, but now that you're sharing with someone, there's just like way different standards and way different expectations of what you're looking for from the game itself. more so than like this is an opportunity to hang out with this person and talk or just like do a thing with someone, whether we talk or not.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed that because like me and my friends slugging through Saints Row 2, which was a big buggy mess, but it was fun to play with another person because they put co-op through the entire story in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Saints Row was a really interesting game.
Yes. It really got out of control by 4, but 2 and 3 were very fun to play.
Yeah, it's still like I think one of my like favorite gaming memories is jumping out that plane and the Kanye West song playing.
Yes.
Just because it was so unexpected, and everybody who I bring it up to instantly knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
The Kanye West like skydiving thing, and everybody's like, "Oh man, that was so amazing."
It was just a very cool moment. They're very good at making you feel cool.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, they licensed this song. I can't believe they licensed this song.
Now they paid the money and it worked out, and we're still talking about it today.
Hey, it's worth it.
Exactly. And another thing brought up on the survey here is meeting people through games. Since the Game Boy didn't help you do that, was that like the Destiny time and that sort of thing?
Yeah, like when playing Destiny, and like I was like, hey, I'll meet some new people online that can be my friends, and I think I met like 2 really cool dudes who, I kind of just played all of my games with for a while until they got busy with life and stuff, and we kind of just lost connection. But I feel like a lot of people just have those like online friends who they've known so long that they're real friends, even though they've never met.
Yeah. No, it's for the modern era. That's a totally valid way of making friends. And like, it's hard to disassociate like the online part of those friendships, but I believe they're just as real as any in-person ones.
Sometimes better.
Yeah, definitely. Because they're outside of your area. Like I live in a small city in rural farmland. So finding people of similar ideologies is a little difficult. So finding people outside of there is good and helpful.
Yeah, and that aspect of it I really like, but it's such a mixed bag. For all the good things we can talk about it, there's like 10 other bad things.
Yeah. It is a bummer. That's where like the random I wasn't a big fan of randomly joining games because of that. Because there's just so much of that, and it is not great.
Yes, and like it's really bad when you're like, I'm just trying to play a game. Let me just like mute everybody in this chat, or just not like have my headset on at all. But if you don't talk, people will kick you out, which is kind of valid also, because you're not really being helpful to like teamwork at that point. But
yeah, gotta catch this Sentret. See if I can do it. No problem. Caught.
So you never made it through Gold, right?
No, I've only played Yellow with Pikachu, and that's about it.
I think I would say Gold is the best one. I know people like Red and Blue, but man, Gold is like the perfect mix of new characters and old characters. Before the designs just start turning into keychains and trash bags.
The trash Pokemon is my favorite.
Man, the ice cream cone Pokemon. That's an interesting one.
There's an ice cream cone?
Yep.
Damn.
There's a Pokemon that's an ice cream cone.
Yeah, so whenever anyone talks about the new designs, I always bring up the trash bag because I think it's very funny. But I also, it looks funny. It's fun. I don't know. What are you going to do? They're out of ideas, clearly. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I would just say don't add so many every generation. I'm like, what, 10, 12? Let's just have 12 really good ones and then kind of move forward. But hey, what did I know? They know what they're doing.
Yep. You can't make plushies of 12 Pokemon when you make plushies of 150 or whatever they add every time.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did lower the number to like 40 or something like that, but it's still a crazy amount.
Also, maybe it's like just a thing of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Maybe people really like the trash Pokemon, but if they didn't include it, then they wouldn't ever know.
I think the last really interesting one was, the Pokemon that's dressed like a Pikachu.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
The Pokemon that's dressed up like another Pokemon, but it's actually its skin. I'm like, that's so creepy.
I didn't know it was its skin.
Yeah, just like Cubone. I think it wears his mother's skull.
All right.
Like a lot of them like have like a really creepy background. But
But I mean, going back to you saying Pokemon Gold is the best, is that just because it was the one that you played first?
No, I think I tried a little bit later when I got a DS when I was like way older, and I tried not Sun and Moon, Black and White, and I was just like, man, this it's just not the same. And I was looking at the new Pokemon and stuff, and I was like, I don't like any of these.
Yeah, my wife's a big fan of Pokemon, but she did not want the new ones when we bought the Switch because they the Pokemon look dumb, the new ones, especially the legendary, which has like a sword in its mouth. That doesn't seem very like Pokemon like for them to pick up a weapon.
Yeah, it's the Goku issue where after you become the most powerful in the world, you got to become the most powerful in two worlds and in the galaxy and in the universe, and then you got to become more powerful than gods. And then where do you go?
Exactly.
So after Pokemon become humans, because Pokemon started standing upright and talking, and was basically just humans in costumes. I don't know where you go from that. You go to giant wolves, like with swords in their mouths.
Yeah, exactly. But on that thought, tangentially, you're talking about game design. You are now designing and creating games. What?
Man, these segues.
That's very good. That's what I'm known for. What was? What started you in that direction? What inspired you to get into game development?
I forgot what I was playing. It was No More Heroes. Well, it was before No More Heroes. I think as soon as I went to high school, people always ask you, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I didn't know. I was like, "I'm gonna make games. I don't know, whatever." And then I fell into the trap of watching one of those commercials where they're like, "Hey, do you want to tighten up the graphics on level 3 or something like that, or whatever?" Some dumb commercial, and I fell for it and went to some dumb school that didn't do anything for me. But I was spending money, so I tried to get the most out of it that I could.
Yeah,
I ended up wanting to go for coding. I learned that I was pretty good at 3D art, and then bounced around from like small studio to small studio, working on not even games. It was just like apps, app development, stuff like that. I couldn't get into the game industry. They wouldn't give me not one opportunity.
Yeah.
I ended up working for some small company that ended up making a small game. And I was like, yeah, this is just what I want to do. So after going back and forth between small studios and like day jobs, I ended up just saying, hey, I'm just going to do this myself since no one would like really give me an opportunity. And, started this game a couple years ago. Seemed to started picking up steam. People have been talking about it and liking it a little bit. So I've been trying to keep that momentum going. The game should be out sometime this year. Will be out sometime this year.
Yes, confidence.
No, it's definitely going to be out. I'm just confused on which year it is right now.
Right. It is currently 2021.
Yes, because I kind of had to switch all my media from saying coming out next year to coming out this year. And 2020 was just a blur to me. I try to not think about it too much.
That is totally understandable.
Yeah, so ups and downs in my whole game development journey, but I stayed pretty consistent on it being something that I wanted to do. It's just game industry is very hard to get into.
Yeah,
even harder to be successful in. So after 10 years, I'm just now getting my feet on the ground with making my own really solid game. So it just takes a really long time.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. And it's also, I don't know, it's good to hear that because I'm not in game development, but I'm in like the content creation, as you could see being on the podcast. And the stuff takes a long time.
Yeah, I know a few content creators who are just now like really getting the momentum and getting the followers and starting to blow up and being covered by other sites. When they started off around the same time I did, going to school. I remember them like sending me stuff on Facebook saying I'm starting up Twitter, to go follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. And it's taken them this long to actually like really get going. So stuff just takes time.
It does. It's a good reminder. Yes, and that game is Aerial Knights Never Yield.
Yeah.
What's that game all about?
So, like much of what we talked about, I really like smaller games, games that respect your time, and older games. So the concept behind it was to take something old and give it all of those new design flares that we have now, while incorporating things that was missing, that was unable to be done back in the day. So, for example, runners. Everybody's played a really cool runner on their phone back in the day. You can name like 20. I was
Yes.
like, how can I take a runner and like kind of bring it into the modern gaming era and put my own twist on it that the game industry often ignores, be it like the black culture, be it some hip hop jazz, be it cutscenes for this certain type of game, and like giving this small form game an actual story that's interesting and has some lore behind it if people look for it.
Mm-hmm.
So something that you could pick up and play, that anybody can pick up and play. They don't have to remember the controls or have the best hardware in the world, but at the same time can enjoy if just as much if they ran through it in one night.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, to give that variety of depth depending on what the person's looking for. That's very, like we were talking about before, that design to give the player the agency to choose whether they want to spend a lot of time or a little time. That's great. Has creating games or creating a game or other games and working on stuff behind the scenes, does that affect the way you play games? Are you looking at what other people are doing for your own stuff, or are you still able to sit back and relax?
I mean, yeah, sometimes it really depends on the game. I know a lot of people have issues like just trying to play games now that they, know how it's made. It's like being a chef and going to McDonald's. Sometimes you just look at stuff and just shake your head like, man. But people enjoy it, so you can't really, complain about it too much.
Yep.
I remember the most game dev moment I've had, especially last year, was playing The Last of Us 2. There's a part with a rope where you had to plug in the rope was like a plug or something like that. You just had to plug it in the wall. And I was in like video game mode, and I was like, there has to be some kind of puzzly way that you have to get this rope to plug into this wall. You have to walk around, or you have to like unlock some like door or something like that. No, you just throw the rope over the gate, walk to the other side and plug it in. And I was just amazed by it because I wasn't expecting the physics to be actually realistic.
Right.
And like the way it like moved and like it was perfect. And I was just staring at it, and I was talking to, and then you can go on Twitter and see how much game devs freaked out about that rope, because I was not the only one. But if you bring it up to someone who doesn't make games, they'll be like, "What? It's just a rope. Who cares?" It's like, man, do you understand how hard it is to like make a rope tie itself in a knot in a game?
That's the thing is if you make it look easy, then only the people in the know will understand how difficult it is.
I don't know. That was crazy to me. You could throw the rope over something and then climb up the rope. Man, I have no clue how he did that.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. That sort of stuff is very impressive to see. I gotta go play that game. It seems interesting. It also seems very dark.
It's very dark. It's very dark. You have
for that these days.
Yeah, if you're not in the mood for it, the worst thing that happened with that game was it came out in 2020 because we did not need that game that year.
Yeah, that's why I bounced off any coverage of it. I was like, I don't want to see this right now. I'm good.
I was mad at myself right before it came out. I was like, am I really about to play this depressing game right now?
And you did.
I did. I played the whole thing, and I'm glad I played it because it is definitely worth a playthrough. But I am never playing that game again. Not because it's bad, but because it's just so sad.
Yeah.
That like you know those kind of movies where it's just so messed up that you'll never watch it again.
Yes.
But you always say, hey, it's a good movie, but I'm not watching that again.
Yes. Did you see Uncut Gems?
Oh yeah.
Yes, that is that movie for Let Me last year.
I watched it last year.
Yep. Yes, that is that movie for me.
Man, it just threw me out a window. I was just like,
exactly.
It ruined my day. Like after you watch that movie, you just go lay down and watch cartoons for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I watched that at the end of my night, and I was like, well, I can't go to sleep now. I gotta do something else to get that off my mind before I fall asleep. Can't go to sleep angry or upset.
Oh man. That's the same feeling you get at the end of Last of Us.
Oh boy. Well, I guess I know what I'm looking forward to then if I ever play it.
It's just like full of terrible decisions, and you're just yelling at the screen, why? Stop, please. I don't want to do this.
Woof. I don't know if that's praise or a warning for me not to play it.
It's just different. That's all. But like sometimes you're in the mood for hey, let me play this super messed up game.
It's true.
I think at some point I got sick of just playing actiony games where I always was the hero and I could never die. I was like, let me just play something different. I really like that. I forgot what it's called. Man Eater or Manhunt. The shark game that just came out.
Oh yeah, I think it's Man Eater.
Yeah, it just came out on PlayStation Plus. And normally, I'm like, oh, that's cool or whatever. But I was like, let me just play something different. I really like that game because it's different. You're just a shark. You just go around eating other things. Just turn off your brain and enjoy it.
Yeah. What else do you want? Just other things. You're a shark. Go eat other things.
No emotions. No hang-ups.
Put it on the back of the box. That's all the people need to know.
Yep. It's 2021. Just swim around and be free.
Wow, that's a wonderful line.
They should let me market that game. Exactly. I think I would be a big benefit to that.
I agree. With that, I think that's a good place to wrap it up with that perfect line for 2021. Starting off strong, ignoring reality. We'll just... Oh, my goodness. Is there anything you want to promote?
Yeah, just if you're interested in the kind of games I like and the kind of games we've talked about, I'm working on this game called Aerial Knights Never Yield. You can check out my Twitter at Ariel_Knight. It's spelled how it sounds. And I post all my updates there. The game will be coming out middle of this year. We're working on a release date now.
Very cool. I'm very much looking forward to it. Looking at the footage I've seen, looks very neat, very stylish. I'm digging it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks so much for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing your stories. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, this was fun. Yeah, anytime. Just, hit me up.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you next time on The Personal History of Games.
See ya.
You can hear more of The Personal History of Games on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help us out, please leave us a rating and review. For updates, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at PHOGPod, or check out our website at personalhog.com. The show is hosted and produced by Eric Canius, executive produced by Robin Lands. Do We Like is brought to you by Beamed Media, a Canadian podcast network.